Hello everyone, I'm Nida
And I'm Anushka.
and this is Golap GMA. Welcome back to our Sheroes podcast. We have a very special guest with us today.
Today we have with us Mrs. Gina, who is an environmental conservationist and a plastic free campaigner. You may know Mrs. Gina as the creator of the Tilly the Turtle campaign, which has been widely supported by schools, organizations, and individuals all over the UAE and globally. She has organized many a beach cleanup that we have been lucky enough to participate in, and we're so glad to have her with us today.
Thank you so much, Anushka and Nida, for the introduction. Happy to be on Girl Up.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much,
joining
ma'am.
us today, ma'am. So I think we'll just jump right into the question. You've been such a big and important figure, especially for a lot of our school people and classmates. We've all had the great fortune and opportunity to attend and be a part of your beach cleanups and, be a part of the Tilly the Turtle campaign. So I think a lot of us would agree that you're one of the most passionate and motivated individuals that we've ever come across. And so I think we're all really wanting to know that what fuels you and what keeps you going. So,
So, ma'am, you're extremely passionate about the environment and making sure that it's pollution free, reducing the plastic intake. So, ma'am, at what age did you realize that the way that the world was progressing with the amount of litter that we were producing, how carelessly people were using plastic, that there was a problem that needed to be addressed?
Well, I would say that all my life we've been conscious, but I never stood up till I had my own children, and I was worried how the planet would be for them. And uh, I would say at the age that I was really affected was about 32. And the reason, because, to make an impact in terms of why the age, we live in the UAE and we come from a very sustainable country like India, where everyone's so conscious. But when we get out here to Dubai, we somehow feel that, we need to let go of a lot of things. And I did let my guard off a bit. But then when my sister visited me from the UK with her family, and she realized that I had only one trash bin, she was shocked because every time we served like a drink in a can and they wanted to bin it, they actually put it in a recycling bin. But out here, we don't. We trash it directly into the garbage bin, right? So that's something that triggered the whole movement. So that's something I would say 32 is the time that I started doing it at home. For a long time, we did it at home till I went out to teach my son's school on a regular basis, right? From pre-KG till, forever. And later on, I was inspired to get the community involved and not just my family, my friends and the school, but the entire community in the UAE to do something and be more conscious.
That's very inspiring, ma'am, because usually most people make their home sustainable and that's about it. They don't really think about the outside world and trying to make sure that people outside their homes as well follow sustainable living practices. That's a very inspiring way of starting off.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
and I think it's incredible how that one small incident just totally shifted your perspective and inspired you to start going along that path. So, in a similar vein, was there any particular person as well who perhaps inspired you to take that first step and start working towards preserving the environment and reversing the damage that has already been done to the environment?
That's right. I do get inspired by individuals, but I was inspired by an event. So in February 2017, a whale, a sperm whale, got beached upon the shores in Norway. And I was following this news for a couple of days till they told us that they were going to put down the whale because the whale wasn't going back into the ocean. And and when I tried to find out what happened, just like many other people would want to find out, why wouldn't a whale want to go back into the ocean where it's its home? So they finally, after they put it down, they investigated, they did an autopsy, and then they found about 30 plastic bags stuck in the gut, and imagine we intake plastic and it gets stuck in our stomach, and there's no way it can come out. And that's what happened to the whale. There was no way that plastic in its stomach was coming out. And when so in biology you learn that when you're full you don't eat more, right? So the whale felt that it was full, and then it got malnourished, and it began to die a very slow and agonizing death. Now that's what triggered me, that we are doing things in the environment without even thinking, where the waste that we generate will eventually land. We all believe that, okay, if I put it in my trash bin, it will go to the landfills. But what if it doesn't go to the landfills? Where else can it go to? Out here, it's very clean in the UAE. We don't see much dirt or any visible garbage, at least around my surroundings and the beach. We don't see the visible garbage. But, somehow or the other, a lot of trash eventually gets into the ocean. A lot of waste companies globally say that they are taking the trash and putting it away, but eventually most of the trash is dumped into the ocean. They say that a million trucks dump waste into the ocean every single day. And that's really scary to think that we can just, do anything with the environment without thinking about the consequences. Even the fact that we treat the ocean like as if it is not somebody's home. It is a home to millions of sea creatures, crustaceans, and beautiful animals living there. But we treat it just without any respect. We have overpopulated the cargo intake into the ocean where trade takes place. There is overfishing. Fishermen dump their nets into the ocean. We take too much from the ocean without waiting for it to replenish. So we're taking too much from the environment, and we're not letting environment take its own course. We're being greedy, and we're not being thoughtful. So that's something that really bothers me, and that's what keeps me going in terms of every small detail that we do at home, and then what we suggest to everybody else.
Absolutely, ma'am. I think it's incredible the way you detail that one news piece that you were following of the sperm whale. I think, at a point we keep reading about these things and we keep getting bombarded with information and about how, the climate clock is ticking and how it's time to act now. And I do feel at some points some of us get desensitized to the information that is coming at us because we're just constantly reading those things and we're not doing anything about it. So it doesn't affect us as much. But I think, ma'am, just the way that you've been so incredible in the fact that you completely made yourself aware of all the problems that are plaguing our environment and our ocean specifically at this point in time, and you decided to do something about it is just absolutely incredible. And thank you so much, ma'am, for all the work that you're doing, because I think honestly, even Nida and I perhaps have not thought in so much detail at any point about all the things that are going wrong in the environment and how we're directly playing into that cycle. So thank you so much, ma'am, for just sharing that, because I honestly learned a lot right now. And it is amazing to hear how that entire process started for you.
You're most welcome.
So I'm talking about thought processes. One of the main things that needs to change to bring about any sort of change in society is the mindset that people have. So in your time that you've been working with schools, with communities to make sure that they're living a more sustainable life, what is that one mindset that you think is most detrimental to your progress, that keeps you back the most and keeps people from living sustainable lives the most?
So, the incident I told about the whale, so after it affected me, I decided to pass that knowledge on to my son's class. They were in grade 3. And they are, kids are so amazing. I love working with kids. They take in information and they're so innocent, and then they listen. But my challenge has been with a lot of grown-ups. The older you get, your own egos, thoughts become a permanent aspect of your life, and you feel that, you know that you have your opinions to think about, and they probably pay, a lot of things do come into the whole plethora of things. But for a child just takes in and practices it. So I took the story out to a lot of children at my in my son's class. I said, I'm not just going to teach his classroom, but I'll take it out to a lot of children to see. It was very easy to work with their mindset. They have a very innocent mindset. They hear a story, and when you tell them, they do it. So I just didn't want to lecture them like a normal classroom. I took them out into the open. Mrs. Kambata was very kind to give me a fence wall, and said, okay, now take this wall and do what you can. So I told the third graders to go back home and find whatever plastic caps they have at home and get it to school. um, so they did that. They were happy to work and do whatever I asked, and the parents absolutely supported the cause as well. The school itself had a lot of plastic caps. I'm talking about way back in 2017, because every time parents visited the school, you had to give them a bottle of water, and they had the small bottle of water that they had. So parents, now we talk about mindset. So when I do come to any organization or any school, I carry my own water bottle, because I understand that somebody is going to be very kind and offer me a plastic bottle. So that's my mindset when I go out. I know that I have extra luggage to carry, but I do go prepared. I know it's my way of thinking. And that's basically set into all of us at home. We step out, whether it's to the play area or meeting, we are conscious. Okay, so I pass this on to the children. They were very easy to take in the information. Then I pass this on to the school, and the school realized that what they were doing was wrong. That one plastic water bottle that stays back has to go somewhere, right? The waste consumption. And that's when the school did decide to go plastic free as well. If you know, Modern completely went plastic free in 2017. They did away with all their plastic water bottles and plastic dispensers, to stop with that entire circle, and to take action for that whale who ingested plastic. It's something like that. So if you see the mindset of children, a person, and of a school, it just changes because everybody listens and then they practice. But if you do not want to listen something and you have your own thoughts that are instilled in, you will not change. So it takes a lot to take in, and then practice. So that's what I feel about mindset, in terms of changing or accepting. Some people are very, if you tell them, oh, you're using a plastic water bottle, they feel bad. But there are some that understand, what impact it has, and then take a great action and say no. So in that way, I feel it all depends on how you take in information.
Definitely, ma'am. Like, even when we interact with our juniors, we see that the younger ones are more receptive to newer ideas. They're more excited to learn new things and take up different activities. But as we grow older, I think the I have a right to say what I want to, that cements in as you grow older. And we've seen even with other things that it's easier to reach out to the little ones and to the teenagers until a certain age. And then as you grow older, it gets harder to get to them, to make them understand your perspective. And I think Anushka will probably remember this too, that after this, after Modern went plastic free, when we used to have our book sales for the new academic year, they went from giving us plastic bags to reusable jute bags that I think most of us still use for various things. So I think Modern as well as the school has been very receptive to
Yes.
change, to understand that they need to do away with plastic.
Yes, that's true.
Absolutely. And I think, as you rightly said, ma'am, that I think sometimes we just get so rigid and comfortable in our habits that we don't feel like changing our usual processes or routines as we grow older. But I think that's something we all need to keep in mind, that we have to be more flexible and adaptable to change, because if we're not, and if change doesn't start with us, then it won't start with anybody. And then it has to be a movement that everyone comes forward with. It just can't be spearheaded by a few individuals. And I think, ma'am, one of the greatest ways that you have sort of represented that movement and started a movement to bring about change would have to be the Tilly the Turtle initiative that all of us know in modern. It's everybody knows that famous turtle made out of cigarette butts. So, ma'am, can you tell us one thing that inspired you to start the Tilly the Turtle initiative in particular?
Yeah. So, you know, we love going to the beach. I come from Goa, that's a coastal area, and we frequent the beach very often. So out here too, we love going to the beach. You know, makes you feel a little bit of home. Whenever we go to the beach, we have one rule where we carry less waste. So if I'm kind of packing stuff for the family, I'll put in my reusables. All of us will carry our water bottle. We'll see that we leave less waste in the bins on the beach. So that's one of our goals. The second goal we have when we go to the beach is we clean up, you know, not just our area, but the area around us as well, because people do tend to litter a lot of things. And our friends know that this is our, you know, this is my or my family's goal. And then slowly they kind of, you know, help in, whether they're forced to help in or, you know, whatever. So there was a student from DPS who actually came up to me and said, "Auntie, please help me organize a beach cleanup." And that was long ago in 2015. And I said, darling, I can't organize a beach cleanup, but what I can do is my family can come along with your family, and we can, you know, do the same thing that we normally do as, you know, when we go to the beach. We were just about 6 of us then when we were doing cleanup on the beach. There was absolutely no visible garbage, trust me, like plastic bottles and bags, nothing. But what we found was 5 bags of cigarette butts. Now, 5 bags of cigarette butts is no joke. And that too for 30 minutes, we just kept finding more and more and filling up our bags. And that kind of stuck in me, you know, saying that why is there so much of cigarette butts, you know, on the beach? So I did a little bit of talking to the people around, asking them, why are you throwing it down into the sand instead of, you know, throwing it into the dustbin? So everybody told me their version, that they thought it was biodegradable and it's not trash, it's paper, right? It looks like paper. But that is the point. Education, lack of education is dangerous, you know, when you don't have information. But I can imagine at some point of time, I probably thought that the cigarette was biodegradable because, you know, you think of the tobacco in, the paper around it, and that's it. But if you dive into the aspect of a cigarette butt, a cigarette contains 300 chemicals that are toxic, out of which 30 are carcinogens, which means it's cancer causing. It also has filaments of plastic in it, which a lot of people don't know. It looks like paper. It really resembles paper, but it's not. It's not paper at all. It is cellulose acetate. You know, our spectacles are made of that particular plastic. You know, the entire body of the spectacle skeleton. So that is what is in a cigarette. You know, all the chemicals that we use to wash our bathrooms are also in that. Besides that, there's tar, and all that when a smoker intakes it, they know that they are taking in all these chemicals. That's a, you know, a conscious decision. But when they blow out the poisonous air, it spreads onto, you know, to every segment, you know, via air pollution. And they also do one thing when they litter. Now that littering part is what they think is biodegradable, but it is not. So a lot of cigarette butts are dumped onto beaches, on roadsides, wherever you go. And wind out here is an important factor. It takes away all the light garbage into the ocean. So they say that whatever cigarette butt has been littered generally lands into the ocean. So you can imagine how much of toxic waste is there in the ocean. And these little filaments that get soft, you know, they are plastic and they get ingested by animals. So that's what is the underlying story of Tilly's creation. And when I got a chance to invite parents for Modern and for the beach cleanup, we actually did it with a permit. So you can't just go to the beach cleanup and do it generally. So we did it with a permit, and we got everybody to clean the beach. I remember our first beach cleanup, we were just about 60 of us. And we said that we're going to do a beach cleanup for 1 hour. Side by side, we created this massive, huge turtle that with the children and parents of Modern. And in 1 hour, take a rough guess. How many cigarette butts do you think we would have collected? 60 of us. Nida?
300.
Okay. What about you, Anushka?
Maybe 1,000.
Okay. We collected 30,000 plus cigarette butts, okay, in 1 hour. And out of which I took a couple of them, and we adorned the the sculpture that we created, Tilly the turtle. The rest of it was binned. But that is how much cigarette butt one can collect on the beaches of Dubai, which is alarming. Imagine 30,000 cigarette butts into the ocean, consumed by sea creatures, and then eventually it comes into our plate because we do eat seafood. And so it eventually comes into us. What goes around comes into us. So Mrs. Kambata was very, supportive. When the children came in with Tilly the turtle, she adopted it and embraced it with open arms, and that's what set the precedence. Every child in Modern felt connected to Tilly. She took it along the corridors of the school. Every classroom saw Tilly. They did drawings. They wrote about it. They shared poetry. And that never stopped. We did, so far, I've organized about 14 beach cleanups, and all of them, most of them, I know that parents, students, teachers, supporters, for all the sessions. And so many of the mascots have been adopted, like you said, by schools, organizations. Now, a little did I understand that my children would be so, into the whole mission, because they joined me. And my youngest son decided to send to have his own cleanup organized in our building. He collected 300 cigarette butts in just 20 minutes with his younger brother and another friend, and he created a little Tilly the turtle, and he sent it to the Vatican in Rome, where they actually took Tilly and put it in the environment records. So it's all over. Teachers from Europe have come and joined and taken Tilly to their schools. So it's a part of the European education now, and it's going everywhere. So I would say that a lot of it is the result of people like you, kids like you, who join in, who want to make a difference, and then go out to make multiple differences all their life. I can imagine what Nida and you will be doing, Anushka. I mean, I know that you all will do so much with whatever little information you have got wherever you go. So that's the hope that Tilly has for every person who has joined the mission.
That is absolutely incredible, ma'am. I think you could see from how far off Nida and my guesses were that I think we can't even fathom how much litter and how many cigarette butts exist in beaches and what an alarming problem it is. And you're absolutely right. It does resemble paper quite a bit. And I don't think people are aware of what a big danger it poses to the environment. But I think just what you did with Tilly the turtle by creating this symbol of the beach cleanups and all the work that you're doing. And obviously, Tilly the turtle is something that is so easily adopted by children. They absolutely love the concept. So I think it is really an incredible stroke of ingenuity. And, we're so glad to hear that Tilly the turtle has spread all over the world. And I think rightfully so, because Tilly the turtle is really a symbol of everything that you're doing, and what you're doing is incredible. So thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us the opportunity as well to get involved with your beach cleanups. I know we've come across on the beaches in the morning and worked with you. And it was incredible to just see how diligently you already, I think at every beach cleanup, you also form a little turtle like the one behind you right now.
Yes.
So I think just seeing that happen every time was an incredible experience, and also a very alarming experience, because I don't think until you do it yourself and you see and you walk a couple of steps and see a cigarette butt in each of those steps, do you realize that this is a much bigger problem than we could have anticipated.
So, ma'am, we talked about how Tilly the turtle has reached Europe, it's reached the Vatican, the movement. So you've come such a long way, ma'am, but I'm sure, speaking to you and looking at your passion towards the environment, that this is you must, I'm pretty sure you're not satisfied. You want to take it further. So, ma'am, what are some of the future plans that you do have for the Tilly the Turtle campaign and just your work towards the environment in general?
Yeah. So I do have a Tilly the Turtle program that I have reached out to organizations to be a part of. We help organizations go plastic free. So that's the main mission in every little way, like to stop using plastic water dispensers, to water bottles, and go sustainable with a sustainable filter. So a lot of other, we have done a lot of other things. You know, the goals are to stop plastic bags, to go paper free. So we are already implementing a lot of these into our day-to-day goals at our organization, Gary Cooper. I started a project called Sustainable Brands, where we help organizations completely change their, from their plastic products to something sustainable, whether it is single use. So the whole aim is to get rid of styrofoam. Styrofoam chokes the planet, and anything to substitute for styrofoam that is biodegradable. A lot of things have come into the spec, like compostable and stuff like that. Honestly, I'm not sure how many organizations have a composter to compost the compostable products. So we are more into the degradable stuff. We also had launched a movement where we collect plastic bottles from the ocean, convert it to yarns, and then stitch garments. So we do materials out of plastic, and then organizations work with us to customize their like hotels, their the bed covers, to their curtains, to whatever products. Um, um, a lot of people just come in and say, do workshops for me. I want to do workshops. So I do workshops to teach them how to get rid of chemical products in the house, and go more sustainable, grow your own food at home. That is really easy. We've launched plant pencils, pencils that have seeds, they're seed pencils. So a variety of seeds, after you use your pencil, you just put it in a pot and it grows. We've done invitations out of seed paper. So a lot of it that, we're actually doing. But the goal is to eventually work with policies and changes for the government. Right now, my whole movement and involvement has been towards the ocean. Towards the pandemic, the laws have been really strict out here. We couldn't do beach cleanups. Unplanned development is at the high. I'm not sure. Have you heard of Goa?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely. We've all also seen the campaigns to save Goa's forest.
So
So,
Molam Forest.
that's right. So I've been involved in that at the moment to help conserve it. It's not yet, it's been undermined, as in now the best part about it is being a part of changing policies. And that's what I want future generations like you to be involved in. We work with a lot of youth in Goa, youth, scientists, specialists. Like, for example, there might not be a trained specialist who guide, the government on certain aspects. Like if a development runs through agricultural land or a forest, what are the laws in place? So there are a lot of lawyers we work with. We work with universities like Yale, students from there who come in and speak about their environment and their knowledge, and they pass it on to everybody. The specialists who work with the forest. So there's in the involvement with interdisciplinary people from various aspects has broadened my look into a lot of things. So that's another goal that I have in mind, to not just work with the oceans, work for the forests, in every aspect of it, work and get children, students, to participate in it, make your impact out there. So my future goals would be to work with policy changes and help a better environment for the next generation.
That's very, very inspiring, ma'am. And I'm so glad that the Goa cause is being taken forward, because it appears on social media as though the hype has died down and no one really remembers, which Anushka mentioned in the beginning as well. So we're bombarded with news, and it's out there for 4 to 5 days, but then after that, I think it's a very Gen Z thing that no one has the attention span to follow up and to check if anything's happened or if any change has been made or if the governments have agreed to any sort of change. But it's great to know that things are changing in Goa and in the UAE. So, ma'am, again, thank you so much for actively working towards making the world a better place for the future generations, for the generations that are to come still.
You're most welcome. I think till the end, I will keep working. And the youth are so important. I realized it that if we don't work with the youth, these changes will not happen. And thank you for having us and participating with us. And I look forward to you both making a difference in the future. Thank you so much, Nita and Anushka. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Same here, ma'am. So I think before we go, is there any one piece of advice that you would like to give the viewers listening to this conversation right now?
We look at environment as something that's different, um, but little do we know that each of us are the environment. There's a saying that says we are born out of dust and we go to dust. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. Right now, they're saying that our bodies don't biodegrade. There's so much of elements in our own DNA structure in our bodies that is not degrading, and that's something to worry. So I would tell everybody to imagine that they are the environment and treat the environment as themselves. I don't know if it makes sense, but it's just correlation to us being a part rather than looking at us as the outsider and saying, okay, we take care of the environment. No, we are the environment.
I don't think that sentiment could have been expressed better itself, ma'am. I think sometimes as humans, we have a tendency to put ourselves at the top of the food chain or at the top of the hierarchy. But I think it's really important for us to remember that we are a part of this ecosystem and we're not the ones to decide what goes on in it. We're not above this ecosystem. We are a part of it, and it's our responsibility to work towards it. Otherwise, it's just going to come and bite us back. So absolutely, I think, a lot of people try to say it in a really nice way that, you should help the environment and, you should give back to the environment. I think this is the way to put it, that if you don't do it, you'll only have to face the consequences of it in the end. Thank you once again for joining us and for inspiring everybody who has tuned into this interview with your story and with all of your work. And it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you, Nida. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
You too, ma'am. Bye.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.